I've made a lot of schlock videos in my time, usually at work. You grab some guy with a camcorder and convince some employees to do something stupid. Maybe a love scene, or something involving a radio-controlled car, a rubber mask, and a cauliflower. But now I'm 65 years old, and I figure it's time I do something serious. So I decided to make a documentary. I planned out exactly what I wanted it to be. A film about what it's like to run the Boston Marathon for the first time. I wrote the framework around a panoply of fanciful decisions. As is so often the case, reality fell a little short of my planning. Or maybe it was the other way around. Here's my advice. If you'd like to make a documentary, start with something simple, like maybe your stamp collection, or a retrospective on the Punic Wars. Do not travel 3,000 miles from home to film something over which you have little control. If you don't get enough event footage, you can't come back later and shoot more. And don't believe the weather forecast either. Apparently, weather prognostication is now in the hands of monkeys with Ouija boards. Oh yeah, and don't think you can script things in advance, because everything will change on you. As I faced several roadblocks, it became apparent I was not going to make the film I originally wanted to make. In fact, I've coined a new word, schlockumentary. I even added it to the Urban Dictionary, although if you go there, be real careful. Even though most everything has changed about the project, I am keeping the original title. I call it Running Boston. Logan International Airport. I think it's time we come to the realization that our airports are now just shopping malls with jetliners. Looking at the Boston subway map, I realize a few things. First, it's way too complicated for a dope like me to figure out. And second, it's likely going to be jammed by the tens of thousands of people in town for the race. Also, I'm old enough to remember what happened to Charlie on the MTA. So I decide to rent a car. These are the parking rates. Whoa! And self-parking isn't much cheaper, but I hate valets. Saturday I head down to the finish line. The streets of Boston are deserted. Who am I kidding? There are 1 million people here. This is the Heinz Convention Center where the expo is being held. Note the mobile command center for the Boston State Police. It's so crowded at the expo, video is next to impossible. But I did hold up my iPhone to get a shot of the end of the registration line. And yes, that sign reads 30,000 to 30,599. Back at the finish line on Boylston Street, over on the right are the VIP seats, where I have not been invited to sit. And these are the flags of all the countries represented by runners. When you see all these flags, you realize this race really is a big deal. There are video screens for the VIP spectators, and reminders that rain is now forecast for Patriots' Day. Evidence of both the spirit of the race and the tragedy of 2 years ago is everywhere. Security is tight. Even the NYPD bomb squad is here. I did see one unfortunate incident between a law officer and 2 civilians. I guess I should show it to you. The perps are an Australian Shepherd and a Golden Retriever. You just hate to see this. Later, I go back to check to make sure the earlier problem has been resolved, and all is well. I make my way down Boylston Street to the Pavement Coffee House to meet some athletes from Runners Connect. Some first-timers are willing to sit for a quick interview.
How long have you been running, and how did you get here to Boston?
I've been running about 2.5 years, and I am on the Miles for Miracles team, which is the team for Boston Children's Hospital. So I applied, this is the second year I applied, and yeah, they accepted me this year, and I'm very excited.
So, races in 2 days, how do you feel?
Nervous, excited, yeah.
How long have you been running? How did you get here to Boston?
I've been running since 2000, so 15 years now, and I'm from Finland actually. Got here yesterday by plane.
So the race is in 2 days. How do you feel?
Very good and excited.
Yeah, so I started running in college, and just to kind of stay fit, and I missed high school sports, so I kind of started running for exercise and to relieve stress. And I qualified for Boston last year running marathon in Sugarloaf, Maine. Feeling a little nervous. I've had a rough week with my father being a little sick and had an emergency surgery and whatnot, so I haven't actually really thought much about the race until now, so I feel like I have, 2 days to kind of get back on track.
Okay.
I've been running for well over 30 years, but I haven't started running any real distances until about 2.5 years ago. And I ran a marathon in California called the California International Marathon in December of 2013 and had a qualifying time for Boston. I'm very anxious. I'm very worried about the logistics for getting to the starting line, but going to the expo today and then doing this meetup with people from Runners Connect has got me excited about the race and being part of that run overall.
Sunday finds me in Hopkinton, the starting point for the marathon. There's only one Boston, and it all starts here. Boston Strong flags are everywhere. Even little kids on the street are carrying them. This is the Hopkinton Communication Center for the Boston State Police. You can see their mobile command center over there. This is part of the staging area for the runners. And this, porta potties. There are more porta potties here than I have seen in the whole rest of my life. No, seriously, there are a lot of porta potties. When you see all these porta potties, you realize this race really is a big deal. Almost done. Did I tell you there were a lot of porta potties? Many first-time runners have driven to Hopkinton today to see the start and drive the entire 26.2 miles. See how nice the weather is? That is going to change. A week ago, the weather report for tomorrow looked like this. And now it looks like this. Weather reporters on TV are now saying there's a 100% chance of rain. I don't think they know what the word chance means. I stop at a local Target to get this stylish rain suit and this cute umbrella, but I'm not really sure why since I don't have any waterproof protection for the camera. Early Monday, I make it to Boylston Street to see what's going on. It's freezing cold, which is not going to be good for the runners. Broadcast trucks are being readied, and last-minute cables are being patched. This giant sign is just a block from the finish line, and it's ready to go. And this is the integrated truck that provides the transportation and intelligence. I'm guessing that renting this Hummer might cost more than $100. There's a lot of activity around the finish line as officials and broadcast technicians get ready for the event. The race doesn't start for another 3 hours, so I decide to leave. I've rented some office space at the Copley Place Mall, so that's where I'll head now. I stop at a grocery store to pick up breakfast from their hot bar. On the way to Copley, I see this cute little tin can all decked out. My office space isn't much to talk about, but it does have a nice reclining executive chair and a great picture window. This is the view. Here's my breakfast. What do you want for $1.06? Actually, the bacon isn't very good. How do you screw up bacon? In any event, lousy bacon is still better than broccoli. After breakfast, I recline my chair and just sit for an hour. Turns out I'll be doing a lot of that today. About 9 a.m., I go to the Skywalk to check the weather. The rain is just starting. I go back to the office, and soon my eyelids are getting heavy. Okay, those aren't really my eyelids. That's just a cheesy special effect I made in Pixelmator. At 10:42, I'm awakened by the AT&T texting service. I subscribed to the service so I could follow my 4 runners, and this is the first status message. Jonathan is already at the 10-kilometer mark, and his pace is an astounding 6:42. Legal Seafoods at Copley Place opens for lunch at 11, so I make myself somewhat presentable and head up there. I order the Louisiana gumbo, and it's delicious. I refuse to take pictures of my food in a restaurant, so I found this picture on the internet. See those green things? That's okra. It's a vegetable. But I ate it anyway. While I'm eating, I can't get this stupid joke out of my mind. When you've had 7 hours sleep in 3 days, trust me, this is hilarious. Jonathan is now at the halfway point, and his pace is holding at 6:42. I finish lunch, and it looks like the rain has let up for a bit, so I grab the camera and head out. It's hard to find a place to take video, but I squeeze in here. It's pretty exciting and easy to see why people are willing to come out in the bad weather. Most of the police are watching the crowd, but some can't help but applaud and encourage the runners. Emily is now at 10 kilometers. Her pace is an impressive 8:25. I can hear the police helicopter flying overhead. Jonathan is at 30 kilometers, and his pace has only dropped by 1 second, but the sky is getting darker. I was hoping the weather would hold off so I could get shots as my 4 runners pass by, but no such luck. It starts to rain. I'm forced to cover the camera with a plastic bag and head to the office. Tired and disappointed, I try to follow the race by text message, but soon I'm lucid dreaming, and in my mind the incoming messages cavort around like the June Taylor dancers at a Fellini circus. Okay, that didn't really happen. But did you notice? Jonathan has finished the race, and Nancy's pace in the second stretch is a whole 6 seconds faster than her first. Now it's only raining lightly, so I head to the family meeting area. Jonathan is probably long gone. Emily has just finished the race. Many of the runners I see are in distress. They are shivering, can barely walk, and are being helped along by friends or family members. I turn off the camera. Jonathan finished the race in 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 6 seconds, with an overall pace of 6:46. His next race will be the Helsinki City Marathon in August, where he will be an official pacer. Despite the stressful family problems just before the race, Emily finished in 3 hours, 48 minutes, and 9 seconds, with an overall pace of 8:43. Her next race will be the Mohawk Hudson River Marathon in October. Nancy finished the race in 4 hours, 14 minutes, and 44 seconds, with an overall pace of 9:43, a new personal record. She's now considering the Napa Marathon in March. And Samantha finished the race in 4 hours, 37 minutes, and 58 seconds, with an overall pace of 10:37. This was a personal record for her too, but then it pretty much had to be, since this was her first marathon.
Well, for me, running has been something that I'm just doing for myself, to enjoy myself, so I think that's the most important thing.
And I think you just have to enjoy it, you know, and I think kind of the rest takes care of itself.
You got to do it. You got to do it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
There's only one Boston.
Lying in bed Monday night after the race, I figured that at least I could use the closing comments I wrote weeks ago. But I was wrong again. Early Tuesday morning, I was walking toward the gate at Logan International. I saw a woman, probably in her 20s. She was slouched over, her left hand both supporting and hiding her dejected face. She was sitting in a Delta Airlines wheelchair. She was wearing really nice running shoes, and sticking out of her carry-on bag was her rolled-up Boston Marathon commemorative poster. Obviously, something went horribly, horribly wrong for her at the race yesterday. I know there are more important things going on in the world, but this was happening right in front of me. I figured she didn't need any life-goes-on platitudes from some old stranger in the airport, so I walked on. But she haunts me. Perhaps I'm taking this personally, remembering the illness that took me out of the big show, or the injuries that took me out of my favorite sports. We all have stories like that. I don't know what happened to you yesterday, kid, but I have a pretty good idea. I don't know your name, I don't know where you're from, but I do know this. You're a fighter. You made it to the big time. You will never forget what happened, but you will get over it. You will come back stronger than before. And I have a feeling I will see you again next year, running Boston.